So I took this workshop this past weekend. It's a shamanic workshop, amongst other things. But and I got a lot out of it. One of the most beautiful lessons I learned from it was that there are many Native American languages that do not have a word for object. It's just not part of their language. And so they don't look at that as a chair as something that is separate, right? Or a stone or a tree as an object. Everything is alive. Everything is a being. So they talk about the stone people or the star people or the tree beings. It's just part of their language. And so in that, inherently, there's a relationship there. It's not that this is an object and I can do whatever I want with it. It's just a stone. Who cares? It's like, no, that's a being. Like there's life to it. And in that sense that everything is a relationship. So one of the things that my teacher said this weekend is that life is just one huge collaboration. Everything we're working together. And this idea that I'm separate from you is just an illusion. It is. And it's a persistent one. It's a pretty stubborn one. Einstein said, I'm going to mangle this quote, but, life is just a very stubborn illusion. Right? It really is it gets reinforced that you are an individual and you are separate, and we forget the relational nature of life. That everything is connected. And it can often be presented in a very hippie-ish, new agey, like, oh, we're all one kind of mentality. But when you look into it, there's a lot of depth to that. So we're sitting in this room, we think about the people who designed this building. And actually every single tile on this floor was laid very specifically by hand by somebody, right? Any chair that you're in was from raw materials somewhere on the earth, right? It all has that initial connection. The idea that we are all related has got tremendous consequence. And I'm still flushing this out for myself, but and normally I like to have a little more of a solid grasp or a deeper grasp on what I'm going to say before I say it, but this felt really important. So I feel like this is going to continue to evolve in my own mind, and I'm saying that to help it evolve through you too. But there's this idea that, so when we're sitting in meditation, I like to bring these talks back to meditation. When we're sitting in meditation, you might hear a noise and like, oh, that object, that car is distracting me, or that clock is there. But we look at it as a distraction since it's something separate from us. But this idea that it's a collaborating, we ends up like, how do we work with it? How is this something that we can work together? When I was coming back to the airport this past weekend, there's one road in and out of this town. And in order to get to the airport, obviously this is the road you have to go through. And it was shut down. There was a car accident. So cops came screaming past us and they shut down the road and couldn't see where it was. There was apparently an accident that was a couple miles down. So they totally shut down the road. And I'm like, I have a flight to catch. And they're estimating about 2 hours before the road's going to be opened. I'm like, all right. So I pull up my map and start looking another way. And there was no other way. It would have taken 4 hours. I'm not exaggerating. It would have taken 4 hours to drive around the mountain where we had to go to get back to the airport. And so it was a wonderful immediate test of this because my anxiety came like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to miss this flight. I'm going to miss a connecting flight. And, my wife's working tomorrow, so the dogs are going to be home alone. I'm supposed to get home at this particular time. And all of these thoughts were just swirling in. But the same thought, like, well, this event, it could look at it as an obstacle, as something that is hindering me from getting to where I want to go. Or I could say, I'm collaborating with this too. This is working with me in some way. Right? Doesn't mean we like it. This is not to post everything as like, oh, I'm going to like everything in life. No, that's not the case. But when we change it from that there is bad and that is wrong and that needs to be changed, that should be different, into something that is a collaboration. Also, like, how do I work with this? How is this here to work with me? How can I work with this environment and collaborate so we can move something to a new place? It's a really powerful shift of mindset. And I'm still working through it myself, and it's going to, I think, a while to own. There's a lot of conditioning to the contrary of that. But I think that this holds a lot for us. if you can consider things in your life to be a collaboration, how do you collaborate with the food you're eating? How do you collaborate with a random stranger you're passing by in the street, or things you like or don't like? How do you say, this is something I can work with, and this is here to work with me? Because truly, you take this logic far enough, and that is where like the we are indivisible kind of comes in. We are all consciousness, right? This chair I'm sitting on is consciousness, even though in English we label it as an inanimate object, right? It doesn't have a free will. It's just sitting here, right? Okay, it doesn't have a heartbeat. Okay, it doesn't procreate. Sure, but when we come back, like step back far enough, like when we sit in meditation, our eyes are closed, we're just witnessing whatever shows up, and there is just a connection to it all. Like you can say that there's a car outside making that noise, and that is true from a particular perspective. But we can also say that I am witnessing that noise, and that's working with me. And how do I connect and see the oneness in that? So this is a lofty topic, and there's a lot of layers to it, but I'll leave you with that. If nothing else, just kind of consider everything in your life as a collaboration. It changes the dynamic of something of like, I have to win and it's a fight and I have to protect against myself, against some danger. As opposed to, how do I work with this? How does this thing want to work with me? And then it ends up being more of a dance of life as opposed to a struggle. So I'll invite you to chew on that and see how that works for you. And let me know, because I'm to look through me. I'm certainly going to be chewing on this. So thank you so much for collaborating with me tonight. Thank you for stepping into this process. And I hope yourselves a pleasant evening.
And how did you get home? That's what I want to know.
Oh,
you're going to leave us.
Well, I'm here, right? So I made it.
But how did you do it?
It ended up, I went through my thought process and I said, all right, well, this is what it is. And I have to work with the environment. I have to work with this. I can't fight it. And it ended up being about half an hour before the road opened up. So I got to the airport with plenty of time to get to the airport bar and have a drink before my flight, and it was plenty comfortable.
If it was 2 hours,
I would have missed that flight, but would have found something else. I would have collaborated with the universe, and I would have gotten back eventually. Right? So, thank you.